Hello. Hello, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me and if the video is running well. I have a new setup. I'm in a new place, and now I'm trying to see if everything works. I actually wanted to show you something. But I don't know if it's working. Okay. We can hear you. Sounds good. Sound is good. All right, perfect. Thank you. All right. I see actually that a bunch of people have already joined, so I think we can go straight to it. I'm gonna try something. I want to share something out of the presentation. Basically, we had something come in at the last second, and I thought I would share it already now. So let me know if you can see this, because I think you should. But I'm not sure. I've never used this feature before. So let me know if you can see the trays. Yes, Wednesdays, Uncharted Territories. We usually do these on Thursdays. So, um, yeah, Wednesday's new, but tomorrow is Halloween. So, people might not be at home. People might not be available to watch the video. So, yeah. All right. So I think I'm just gonna go straight to it. We already have over 50 people in the chat. So let me start by telling you about this. So we've spent some time working on movement trays. This is something that people have requested for a long time. And basically, we were talking to some fans, and we kind of realized, like, Age of Fantasy Regiment was always one of our least played games. There are many reasons for it, but when we talked to the fans, we kind of realized that a lot of fans said, "Hey, like, I have my models on round bases, or I have my models on square bases, but I don't have trays, or I don't want to buy trays, or I don't want to, you know, whatever it might be about the trays that they don't want to do." And so we thought, hey, let's solve people's problems, and let's actually provide trays. So as you can see here, we are going to be providing a ton of different types of trays. So I'm going to start, let's say, from the bottom right and work around like an inverse U shape. So basically, the first thing you're going to get is you are going to get movement trays for models on round bases. You're going to get them in different sizes. So you're going to get, for each base size that we're supporting, you're going to get a converter from round to square for a single model, for a group of 5, for a group of 10, and for a group of 20, I guess, for a unit. And so that way, like, if you just want to convert your one hero to square, you can do it. Or if you can have, if you want to have a unit of 5, 10, or 20, you can do that as well. We did it for a bunch of them. Now I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, but you can see a couple of them here. I think there's like almost 100 bases in the end, like trays in the end that we made. We did it for the regular infantry stuff. We did it for the bigger, 40 mil and 50 mil stuff. We have it for cavalry. For cavalry, we also gave you the option to have them in rows of 3 or in rows of 5. Up to you how you want to use it. And this is your basic conversion from round to square. Then what if you already have square bases though? Then here on the top right, you can see that we've also created a bunch of trays that essentially have like a gap inside which you can place your square models into. You just place them there however you want, and they work. And again, tons of different sizes. I think 20 mil, 25 mil, 30 mil, 40 mil, 50 mil. Lots of different sizes. There's sizes for cavalry. There's lots of stuff there. But what if you have square bases and you want to have kind of slots? Well, don't worry, we got you as well, because you're also going to get slotted versions of all the bases, so of all the trays, so that if you don't want to have your models kind of loosely inside the tray, you can actually put them in each of the little slots, and so that way you have slotted ones. On top of that, we said, well, there are some people that play with multi-basing and they kind of want to create diorama situations. So we created a version without any slot at all. So you can just glue your models directly onto the movement tray and use it like that. So that's one more option. And then finally, we thought, well, what if you want to use a movement tray, but you want to use it for, regular fantasy or for Grimdark? Then we got you covered as well. So we've created a bunch of different shapes for you to use with your round base models, and this is really good for really big horde armies, maybe alien hives, maybe orcs, stuff like that. Then you can have a bunch of round guys on trays. Whew, okay. Yeah, it was lots of stuff. Yeah, lots of stuff. We decided to keep them simple. We had thought about we thought about having textures on it, but then we realized that it's a mess. It's already so many trays. If we did textures, I don't think that they would necessarily look very good. It would make it harder maybe to place the models. And we said, let's keep it simple. So we just made the trays. I think all of this stuff is already in the works for supports, and well, they've already been rendered, so they will be released very, 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 very soon. So yeah, and the plan is actually to add these to like a pack that then you can get, and yeah, they will just be part of the stuff that you get. So yeah, once again, we're doing the most. So here's a bunch of stuff. It's for free. It's part of the Patreon, and you can grab it and start playing Regiments games. So yeah, one more thing in the welcome pack, I guess. The welcome pack keeps growing. All right, cool. So this was like a little ad hoc thing before the presentation even started. So let's go into the actual presentation itself. I'm gonna try to go relatively quick because we have a lot of stuff to do, or well, to talk about. I have like 50 slides here plus the one that we just went through, so it's 51. All right. Anyway, let's go. So, all right, Age of Fantasy World Book. Just a quick reminder for those that maybe missed it. Last month we released the Age of Fantasy World Book. This basically, the Age of Fantasy World Book joins the Grimdark Future World Book in our World Books release, I suppose. Anyway, the book was released. It did pretty well. People seem pretty happy about it. Yeah, it's selling a bunch of copies actually. We have people asking us for a physical version, so it's pretty cool. But there is one thing I noticed: there's a lot of people buying the book, but very few people are leaving a review on Drive-Thru or Wargame Vault. So please, if you've bought a copy, leave a review. Even if you just want to put the stars, if you want to put a written review, that would be even better, of course, because it really helps us, get a sense of what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and also like gives other people the sense that where does the community stand on the quality of this product. And yeah, very cool to finally have both of the world books released. Now anybody that wants to enter the worlds of OPR can do so much more easily, much easier, whatever, much more easily. We are also currently working / reworking the lore sections on our wiki. So I think today we already added like a bunch of new illustrations on our wiki. No, sorry, the lore sections on our website. So now you already have a bunch more illustrations on there. We're going to be showcasing the minis. We're going to add more lore. We're going to add one thing that a lot of people have been asking us is sections about languages and naming. Key locations, key characters. Lots of stuff is going to be added to the lore section um, of the website, and essentially we are going to kind of turn the lore section of our website into a little bit of like a mini OPR lore wiki. So anybody that wants to deep dive into our lore can do so, and also basically to showcase more of what we do, because right now the lore is very scattered. So for instance, we have this whole thing of like the sagas that we're running, but a lot of people are like they don't even realize that we have sagas. So we want to have sections about the sagas there. Now with the quest campaigns, we're actually starting these sort of like epics about quest. So yeah, there's lots of stuff that's coming, and yeah, watch out for the lore section. Now let's move on. Next thing. Well, speaking of Age of Fantasy lore, we also started releasing a new comic series called the Tyrion Scroll. The Tyrion Scroll is similar to the series. What was it called? Series. I forgot the name now. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired. I have to say the fact that I do these at the end of the day makes sense, but also means that usually by the time I'm doing the stream, I'm a little bit depleted. The Serious Report, that's what it was called. Anyway, basically, the Tyrion Scroll is a way for you to learn about the lore of Age of Fantasy without having to go through the books or through the army pages. And also, it's more geared towards straight up lore info rather than a little story like we have in Squip or Serious Business. So if you want to find out about Age of Fantasy lore in a fun way, check out the Tyrion Scroll in our comics section or on Instagram, where we also put it there. All right, that was the Tyrion Scroll. So let's move on to OPR Spiel. So at the beginning of this month, we went to the biggest tabletop gaming convention in the world, as far as I know, and we had a big booth. Finally, we had like a really big booth at Spiel. And here you can see what it looks like when nobody's there. This was like right in the morning. You can actually see somebody in the back also taking a picture. And yeah, we basically had like a whole. It was a pretty long booth. We had like a section where you could talk to us. We had some display cases. We had miniatures on sale. We had the world books on sale. And then we had 3 different demo tables. And this is what it all looked like when it was empty. And then most of the time, this is actually what it looked like because it was packed, because we constantly had people there, which was very cool. It was very cool to see how many people were there and how many people were excited. And literally just the fact that we had a wider booth made a huge difference, because before, like last year, we had a smaller, like deeper booth. And people don't, I feel like people are not really that comfortable with like entering the space and going deep into it. It's almost like too much of a commitment and it's a little bit tight and whatever. Whereas once it was really wide, it was much easier for people to like go and access different parts, and it really felt like, okay, this section is for demos, and this section is for sales, and this section is for info. So I thought that was really cool. What did we have there? Yeah, we had a cool display case. Up here we had the Edge of the Radiance minis and heroes shown in like a little diorama. In the back you can see the King's Wrath starter box that we were selling. Then we had another part where we were showing just some fantasy minis and like a bunch of cool, story and stuff and different minis. And then at the end, we had also a section showing our sci-fi minis. We had some high elf fleets, we had some dwarf guilds, and then some other scattered minis like Star Host and whatever. And yeah, and I was mentioning before that we were selling stuff, and so yeah, one of the things we were selling a bunch of stuff actually. We were selling like skirmish boxes, we were selling army starter sets, King's Wrath, and then like also individual quest heroes. And here you can see like the army starter set for the Saurian Starhost with all the minis laid out. And actually, this was basically the first time we were physically selling the minis that are now being sold on Etsy, and we really wanted to have this in-person experience, meeting people, seeing how they like the boxes, like the design of the boxes and everything, seeing how they like the actual minis, the quality of the minis, the quality of the material and stuff like that. And it was very cool to see that people were super happy. It's just really great to have a quality partner with whom we can make like quality miniatures. And I don't know. There is something to watching someone, pick up a box of minis and take something out and just like their eyes shine. So that was really cool. So yeah, we were selling those starter sets and stuff like that. Yeah, and if you want one of these boxes, you go to Etsy and you can buy it there. Then yeah, here you can see the whole stand where we were selling stuff. On the left, you can see Grimdark Future, the Grim Future World I actually signed copies of the Grimdark Future World which was an interesting experience. And yeah, you can see other sets that we were selling. Basically, I think we only had like Saurians, Mummies, Star Hosts, and Robot Legions. And then we had like the four main quest characters from the welcome pack. And then what else did we have actually? We also were giving away minis. We were giving away a high elf acolyte, and we were giving away a vampiric skeleton guard sergeant, and then we also had OPR dice. Oh, actually, yeah, they're not shown here, but like we have actual OPR dice that have like the OPR logo on them, and people were excited about those. So we were selling dice sets and like yeah, lots of stuff. Um, then what else do we have? We had the three demo tables. Here we had a demo table showing off. We had one for Worlds Beyond, one for King's Wrath, and here was one for Edge of the Radiance, so people could actually get to play Edge of the Radiance before the campaign came out, see all the heroes, see all the minis, which I thought was very cool. You can actually see some tokens on there, which are from the King's Wrath quick start box. Yeah, very cool. And then finally, I have one more picture of the whole set from Edge of the Radiance. At the front, you can see the heroes like Druzak and Rades and Sergeant Wu and Captain Liao. And there's squads in the back. Honestly, it was a great experience. It was incredible to finally be at a place where we can sell things physically and sell boxes and sell books and sell dice and sell stuff, because it's um, I don't know. It's weird, like when everything is done online and digitally, it all feels so, I don't know, so unreal. So no, you cannot touch it, you cannot see it, and it almost feels like, oh my god, like, do people actually like this stuff? Do they want to actually buy it? Like, is this even a viable business model? I mean, it clearly is, because the business works, right? But it's very different to see someone like pick the box off the shelf and be like, "This is great. Here's my money. Let me go have some fun," and just like that whole thing, and like also the whole loop of having people sit at the table, play King's Wrath, and then be like, I want this, and just like, here's the box, boom, go have fun. Yeah, very very cool experience. So yeah, this was Spiel. We are going to be at Adepticon in March. I think we're gonna have a pretty small booth there because of how Adepticon works. And then we are going to be at UKG at the end of May. They're now at a new venue, but we're gonna have a similarly sized booth to this one. And hopefully, at all of these events, we'll be able to, bring boxes, sell you stuff, run events and stuff like that. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, so that was Spiel. Let's go. Oh, and finally, a shot of the booth crew. Yeah, it was great. We actually, for the first time, had people from like that were not part of the OPR team helping run the booth, and it was amazing. Like, it was, I don't know, it was incredible to have these people here, because I don't know, the passion for the project and for OPR, it was really tangible, and it was just, yeah, I don't know. It was lovely. It was very, very nice. So thank you to the booth crew. Um, okay, yeah, let's move on. All right. Speaking of Edge of the Radiance is still available right now on My Mini Factory Frontiers. So if you haven't backed the campaign yet, go there, grab it. You'll get the story, you'll get the heroes, you can get the minis, you can get the Star Host, well, the Star Host. You can get the Eternal Dynasty, you can get the Alien Hives. There's a bunch of other little add-ons. There's paint sets and stuff like that. Edge of the Radiance, it's still running for it's a pretty long campaign because of some like My Mini Factory dates that they gave us. I think it's running for another week or two. Let me double check. It's running for another 8 days. So if you haven't supported yet, make sure to check it out. As I mentioned in the last stream, this is officially the first story in like the first narrative campaign in the Gateway Saga. So it's a pretty important start to the whole saga. So if you're not, if you don't care to play, I would still recommend grabbing this thing just for the story. Yeah, so that's Edge of the Radiance. And what else? And oh yeah, and another thing still related to Edge of Radiance is so OPR is partnering up with Mini Wargaming to do battle reports for our games, and they actually made a battle report playing a mission from Edge of the Radiance. And they're actually doing more battle reports. I think there's an even newer battle report that already came out. So make sure to check them out. Miniwargaming.com and Miniwargaming on YouTube to watch um, the battle report. All right, cool. So moving on. Okay, yes. Speaking of, I already mentioned Etsy and stuff like that. So OnlyGames changes. So about I don't know how much time ago, a couple weeks ago, basically, OnlyGames came to us and said that they are changing the way that they are doing some of the pricing on their platform, and essentially what happened is that once the math checks out, it didn't make sense anymore to sell individual models and units on OnlyGames anymore. So right now, the only thing that you can buy on OnlyGames are bundles. There are a couple of armies missing bundles, so we'll probably be adding those soon. But for now, on OnlyGames, all you can do is buy bundles. One important thing that I should note is just because like people have been noting the difference in prices between like OnlyGames and Etsy. Please note that in the way that it usually works when you buy something online, which is how it works on Etsy, is that when you pay for the thing, you're also paying for the VAT and all that stuff, and then it's already taken care of and it's all included in the price, and don't worry. Whereas with OnlyGames, it doesn't really work like that, and so what happens is that the prices are lower on the website, but then once you receive the pack, you have to pay customs and you have to pay VAT and you have to pay all that stuff, and so then you end up paying the price on the spot. So I know that some people have been surprised with how it was on OnlyGames, and basically this is what is happening. So I just want you to know that if you're buying from OnlyGames, expect that then you will have to pay some, VAT customs fee if you're outside of the UK. And yeah, that's OnlyGames. Honestly, right now, OnlyGames is not really our focus anymore. We still have it there for the fans. If people want us to keep being on OnlyGames and want us to put more stuff on OnlyGames, we will see what we can do. But our focus has moved on to Etsy. So we opened our Etsy store last week, 2 weeks ago, I think. Um, oh my god, time flies. Anyway, we opened our new Etsy store, so make sure to check it out. We basically now actually, you know what I can do? Let me see if I think this is important enough that we should be that we should be tagging. Um, Let me see. Bam. Oop, and pinned. Okay, cool. I've pinned our Etsy store. So if you are somebody that is a fan of OPR and you want to get your models physically, now you can do it via Etsy. That's where you can grab all of our models that we have released on there so far, I suppose. We are adding new models every month. We are going to keep expanding our library. and we are essentially going through a new process now. We have partnered up with Titanforge. Titanforge has been working on miniatures and releasing miniatures physically for about 15 years by now, 13 to 15 years, something like that. So they've been in this business for a long time. They have really high quality products. We have worked with them very closely to make sure that the quality is there, that the minis are printed and correctly and packaged correctly, and that you get everything on time. We are making sure it's just a whole different process. Sorry, my nose is really itchy. It's basically a whole different process, and just we're really focusing on quality. We've heard people's feedback about the quality of the miniatures that they bought before, and now we're really trying to make sure that when people buy something from us, they get something really, really cool. So you get a nice box, you get the minis inside. That are well printed, and everything is gonna be in there. Everything's gonna be on time. Um, yeah, and we're just really focusing on making sure that this thing is quality. And yeah, Etsy store is a bit of a new thing. Well, we had an Etsy store about 2 3 years ago, that then we have discontinued at the time when we switched to OnlyGames, and now we're opening this back up. And this is essentially our official physical store for now. So there is a chance that we will start adding other things on here. We may start selling books on here. We may start selling dice on here. We might start selling, other sets on here. Lots of possibilities, and this is just we're entering a new era of OPR available physically, and Etsy is one of the first steps towards that future. And yes, I if you have been on the fence about buying something from OPR physically, this is definitely the way to go. Go grab some minis. If you want, order just a couple heroes as a test to see how it is. I promise you, the quality is there. It's really good stuff. And yeah, people have been happy so far, and we hope it continues like this, and we hope it continues to grow, and more stuff to come. And we have lots of ideas, and yeah, you will see. You will see. Anyway, Etsy store is open. Go check it out. All right, moving on. Moving on to the next day. Oh, okay. So V3.4.1. So we have finally released 3.4.1, as already spoken about last time. About a month after the new version release, we wanted to make sure to collect feedback and stuff like that from people, and then apply one final patch before the full, yearly release cycle is started, I suppose. So basically, from now on until September 2025, unless something goes wrong, the plan is that we are not going to be updating the core rules anymore. So not the core rules, not the expansions, not the advanced rules, none of that stuff. The armies will still be modified. So whenever we release new minis, we will add new stuff or like modify existing units. And then we're planning to update armies maybe every 3 to 6 months, depending on how large the update is. Again, just to refresh things, like, hey, like, are there new units that we want to add? Is there some egregious mistake that we want to fix? Something like that. But otherwise, the rules are going to be stable. What does 3.4.1 bring you? Honestly, mostly just fixes. Some small changes to some rules in the advanced rules. But again, mostly it's all for clarifications. Mostly it's all for catching any issues. I'm trying to think now. Let me go on the website and see the patch notes again. I'm trying to think if there was anything particular that I should mention here. But no, honestly, it was just like clarifications, fixing of typos. Nothing really changed per se. So yeah, so the rules are stable now. We will wait. We'll wait a year before we update again. Now, one thing that I think I should already start mentioning now, and that um, I Yeah, I think I should start talking about this. So, my plan for the next update, which will be in September 2025, will be to finally release the army refluffing or the retheming of the armies, which means that armies are going to be rebalanced a bit. Weapons are going to be rebalanced a bit. Units are going to be rebalanced. Spells are going to be rebalanced. And overall, we want to put like a coat of fluffiness over the armies to make sure that they all feel a little bit different from each other. Nothing super game breaking, of course. We don't want suddenly to be that like one army plays completely different, like literally different mechanics from the others in terms of like how the game functions. But we want to give a little bit of that fluff. So the expectation is that I think the core rules are going to have very few, very small changes, if any, by the next update. Like maybe what will happen is that we'll bring some weapon rules from right which are right now are like slightly scattered throughout armies. We might bring those directly into the core book. But otherwise I don't expect the core rules to change much, but I expect that the armies will change, some more substantially than others, of course, but they will change. So 3.5, I know it's a year out, but I'm just warning you already. When 3.5 comes out, your armies will probably be changing, and you should be aware of that. All right, moving on to the next thing. So, StarQuest, yes, finally, with the release of 3.4.1, we're also releasing Grimdark Future StarQuest. What is StarQuest? Well, if you've played Age of Fantasy Quest, then it's basically Quest but in space, in the stars. StarQuest is a skirmish adventure game. Basically, it's solo co-op. You have a party of up to 4 heroes, and they essentially go on missions, kill baddies, complete objectives, grab loot, and run away. It's sort of like a skirmish dungeon crawl situation. We so originally we had planned to release this in October, and well, we managed to release in October, but it was supposed to come with a bunch of stuff that unfortunately was delayed. So just to let you know, we are going to be releasing 4 miniatures for like 4 quest miniatures that will be part of the welcome pack. And those will be part of the welcome pack, even if you subscribed in October but you unsubscribed in November. Anything that was released in October regarding that was supposed to be released in October for StarQuest will still be yours. Don't worry, we will send it to you. We're also going to release a narrative campaign featuring the HDF. It's going to be called Into the Frontier, and we'll talk about it more when it's released. And that will also come with a villain, and the campaign plus the villain will also be released retroactively to all the people that subscribed in October as well. So don't worry, you're going to get your stuff. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think I need to go too deep into it. If you've never played Quest and you're curious about StarQuest, give it a shot. It's solo, it's co-op, so it's easy to play alone or with a friend against the AI. Everything is free as always. All the rules are free. The campaign builder is free. The hero creation is free. The enemy creation is free. Using the app to run to generate enemy waves is free. Everything is free as always. So make sure to give it a shot with whatever minis that you already have. And I think that's about it for Star Quest. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, if you've played Quest, StarQuest is gonna be very, very, very familiar. It's the same way like if you play Age of Fantasy, playing Grimdark Future is gonna be very familiar. Of course, the armies are different, the weapons are different. So everything is a little bit, it feels a bit different, but in the end, like the core mechanics are the same. So you still have your heroes, you still have your enemies, you still have your stress that you suffer to use skills. You have enemy waves coming in. You have, you go and search tokens to get loot. Like all of the stuff is more or less the same. And yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like at this point I'm just rambling. I'm just happy that StarQuest is out. And with this, I feel like a bit of a new era for OPR has come, in the sense that like there is now this whole avenue of OPR of these like solo co-op games. that we can explore that are really focused on narrative, that are focused on smaller, engagements that are, I don't know, different experience. It's almost like for me, a board game like experience because you are playing it. You're not playing against each other, I guess. I'm not sure. And also, like, I have ideas for lots of different expansions that I want to do. Some people have been asking about, like, oh, what about like an OPR role playing game? I'm not saying yes, but we might release some expansion for Quest and StarQuest, which does allow you to role play a bit more. And yeah. Oh yeah, and one thing that I want to just mention now, but it's gonna be talked about more next month, is October was the last month of Shadow Stalkers, and with it also the last month of the Out of the Shadows narrative campaign. Now that campaign is going to be moved to drive through, so you can buy it, independently without being a patron. And a new campaign is going to come out featuring the Wood Elves as the villains. So yeah, watch out for that one. All right, moving on. We have, okay. Now that was maybe the more studio update stuff. Now let's move on to Patreon and Patreon updates. Oh wait, I just realized I need to grab a a link here. Sorry, let me just. Does this work? Yes. Okay. There is a. Maybe I should post it here. There was a link. Sorry, I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the stream for those that are not used to it. So I'm not fully checking the chat because I'm trained going down all of these topics. So if you have any questions, they will be answered at the end. Uh, put your questions in this. Put your questions in this form. Oh, I don't know if it's working. I hope you can see the Google form. But yeah, put your questions in this form, and then at the end during the Q&A, I will answer them. So don't expect, if you ask something now, don't expect me to answer it, but I will answer it at the end. All right. Okay, moving on to Patreon updates. So we have a new welcome pack. This time it features Vampiric Undead and Dwarf Guilds. Honestly, it's a pretty hefty welcome pack. Like on the left, you can see that you're going to get the Vampire Lord plus the Vampire Lord's Hound. You're also going to get the Drained, which come with I think 8 different poses. They come with hand weapons, with spears, with halberds. They also come with a command group. And then on the right, you can see that you're also getting the Dwarf Guild. So you're gonna get the Rune, what's it called, the Rune Master. He comes with a buddy. Then you're also going to get the miners. They come with different weapon options. They have pistols. They have shotguns. They have some different special weapons like fusion rifles and stuff like that. They also come with a buddy, and they also come with like a little drill platform and a laser platform. It's really a lot of stuff. Plus, you're gonna get the 4 quest heroes. Plus, you're gonna get the 4 StarQuest heroes. Plus, you're gonna get the tokens and the rulers and the bases, and now you're also going to get the trays. So, a huge welcome pack. So enjoy the welcome pack and everything that it offers. All right, then we are going to move on to the next thing. All right, let's talk about general previews. Oh yeah, actually, I had forgotten about this. I need to take a note. Sorry. Again, this is kind of like an ad hoc thing. All right. All right. So for the Wood Elves preview, what do we have? So here we have the Glade Guard, I think they're called. Sorry, we changed all the names of the units recently to go with this release, and then I promptly forgot all of them. I'm pretty sure they are the Glade Guard, or the Glade Defenders. The Glade Defenders. Okay, because the Guard are another thing. Okay, so the Glade Defenders, they are your basic Glade Wood Elves unit. So the Glade part of the Wood Elves is based on they basically use a lot of parts from bugs and scarabs and um, I forget the name. Whatever. Beetles. They use beetle parts, and so all of their armor. There's basically like these giant beetles in the forest that they're like these ancient creatures or whatever. And when one of those dies, they basically like grab all of the armor, the chitin, and all that stuff from them, and they reuse it to create their weapons and stuff like that. So here you can see basically, this is going to be a basic unit. So you are going to have the they're going to come with hand weapons, spears, halberds as usual, and then they're also going to come with a command group, musician, standard, and banner bearer. Then you're also going to get you're gonna get the Glade Scouts. The Scouts are, well, they're the Scouts. They kind of like they're the vanguards. They go out, they seek the enemy. They're a little bit stealthy, and you can see them here. And also, these are part of the Glade, so you can see them here with Glade slash bug themed, armor on their hoods, or like symbols on their hoods. One of them has a little buddy that's like a little bug on their shoulder. Yeah, I honestly think these came out really, really cool. Oh yeah, and as always, you get male versions and female versions of everything. So that's also a thing. And then finally, what else can I show you? I can show you the giant owls. So instead of having giant eagles or hawks in our wood elves, we decided to put owls in there because we felt that it fit our theme better. So here you can see the basic giant owls. There's actually an owl with an owl buddy, which I thought was very cute. And these are your quote unquote basic giant owls. There are actually lots of owl themed stuff coming. There's also going to be owl riders. Yeah, there's going to be a bunch of stuff. All right, so this is the Wood Elves preview for October. I feel like I'm almost going too fast, but whatever. Trying to get somewhere. Okay, here actually I thought about doing maybe starting to do this now because I feel like last time I was kind of skipping on some of the content that's released on Patreon. So here's a preview of the Age of Fantasy Quest hero for November. And this is basically the Human Empire monk. You cannot see here, but like in the back, he has like this branded symbol of the Empire. And yeah, he has some adventuring gear. He is ready to box, and he is he's a melee. He's a melee physical fighter that is ready to knock someone's teeth out. Then what else? Then we have for the HDF, you are going to get the drill sergeant. I actually got notice that this is being changed. The faces are being turned into screaming faces, which I think is going to be really cool because the drill sergeant is meant to be pissed off. And so you have the drill sergeant. They have like extra armor and protection. They have like a giant sword in the back, and it's your basic. Let's say it's your hero that encourages melee. Let's put it that way. Then you're also going to get the Psy Hacker. Psy Hackers are a concept in Grimdark Future that actually now with this we're seeing for the first time in an actual miniature. But basically, the idea is that in Grimdark Future, psychic powers are not only channeled through, I don't know, magic staffs and whatever, but they can actually be intertwined with technology to generate stuff, let's say. And so here you have the Psy Hacker. The Psy Hacker is basically like the caster for the Human Empire. I think it looks really cool. I love the backpack with like all the antennas and stuff like that. And then you have different options for like these masks and whatever. And he has like a little laptop. And I thought it looked pretty cool. Then we have the sappers. The sappers are basically they're here to fuck shit up. They're here to clear mines, clear trenches, to break sieges, to blow things up. Essentially, they're very cool. Actually, the you cannot see it here very well, but they all have different backpacks with different stuff. So some of them have grenades there. Some of them have spades. They have shovels. Some of them have, whatever, lots of different stuff. They actually come with a lot of different weapon options. So I don't remember all of them. I think they get like grenade launchers. Let me think. Grenade launchers, flamers, laser rifles, plasma rifles, shred rifles. No, wait, drum rifles and fusion rifles. Not sure. Don't quote me on that. But they come with lots of different weapon options. Then, oh, and they have these cool gas masks that make them really stand out. Then for HDF, you are also going to get the grunts. So the grunts are our first robotic unit that we are releasing. Actually, this is like some older shots of the grunts, so they're a bit different. We saw some people complain about the grunts not holding the grip, but actually the grunt rifles are not meant to have grips because the grunts don't need the grips at all. And also, like, not every model is meant to have this backpack. That's only a special comms backpack for the sergeant. And the grunts are basically they're basically robots that the Empire uses. The Empire, sorry, that the HDF uses to how can I put it? To do some of the dangerous work without having to do it themselves. But they are pretty basics. They don't have any really. They don't have any special upgrades besides the little comms radio. They don't have any special weapons. They have nothing like that. So they're good at one thing and one thing only. And that's about it. But I think they look really, really cool. Then we have the battle tank. Yes. So last time you saw the APC, now you see the battle tank. So the battle tank, of course, similar in chassis to the APC, but different. Now the battle tank has like a big cover that basically protects the wheels. It has sponsons, which I think the APC did not have. So you can have different weapons in the sponsons. I think you can have fusion rifles, plasma cannons, machine guns, something else. Maybe laser machine guns. I don't remember. No, actually, not laser machine guns. And then the tanks can also have lots of different tank cannons. I think there might be 7 different tank cannons. Here we can see a bunch of them. So on the top left, I'm pretty sure that's the anti-tank. Left, you have the Nova cannon. Bottom left, you have the battle cannon. Bottom right, you have the plasma cannon. Then in the middle right, you have the Gatling gun. Top right, I think it's meant to be the mortar, but you cannot see it here. And I think there may be a 7th one that now I cannot think of off the top of my head. Oh yeah, there's like a heavy autocannon as well. So yeah, pretty cool. These are the tanks. Compared to they're a little bit bigger compared to the APC, and they're turret in the back. So this is the HDF tanks. Then we have. All right, now we go to StarQuest. So I told you before that there are 4 models coming for StarQuest. Here we have an early preview of some of them. These are not finalized at all. Well, the other previews were also not finalized, but like these are really very much still in the works. And we want to fix some stuff before they go out. So here you have an elf guardian. A guardian is essentially like a cleric, let's say like that. So they have like a guardian shield and this cool little pistol. And yes, this is your elf guardian. Then we have the human. I think this is an infiltrator. It's called a pathfinder. And pathfinder are essentially your rangers. So they're your they have they're like your trackers and they have like sniper rifles and stuff like that. So this is your human pathfinder. Then we have the Blessed Sisters soldier. Soldier is essentially like a fighter. Here it's still pretty basic. Again, you see no rifle, no nothing. Lots of things that still need to be changed. But this is your Blessed Sisters soldier. There is a 4th one, which is the I think there is a Starhost Gecko Psychic that's also going to be part of the 4 basic classes. So, the 4 basic classes are Soldier, Psychic, Guardian, and Pathfinder. but I don't have any renders of that. And then we also have a preview of Rixon, Colonel Rixon, whatever. Rixon is basically the HDF villain for Into the Frontier. I think I saw someone ask this before, and I didn't say anything actually. Sorry. Yeah, Into the Frontier sees you fight against the HDF. So the big plan with Quest and StarQuest in terms of like how campaigns are released alongside the Patreon is that whatever army is currently being released, those are the bad guys. So in this case, they are fighting HDF, and this is the main villain from the HDF, which is Colonel Rixon. He actually is a commander, so through his design, you can kind of get an idea of what the final commander aesthetic is going to be like. All right. Cool. Then what else do we got? How do I still have so many slides left? I feel like I'm speed running and still I'm nowhere near the end. All right, then we have okay, the legendary release for November. It's going to be a Ratman release, and this is the Priest on Giant Otter. So here you can see the base with a couple of details. We in the concept there used to be like this enormous base with lots of things that had like a little pond and stuff like that. And I know that some people liked it, but it just became too messy for like printing. And so we decided to go with something simpler. So here you have the base, and then you can see the main details on the otter. So, he has like these different shields, and there's like a cheese wheel and big scrolls and like lots of other things like faction symbols and stuff like that. And then, of course, we have the actual face of the otter. He looks absolutely adorable. And then we have the little Ratman priest, that is screaming with his staff, like, go forth. And in the background, you can see that there's some ruins as well. So, yeah, I think it came out adorable, and I'm really happy that we made this model. Can't wait to see it in the hand of painters and see what comes out. All right, and I think that is all of the 3D render previews for November. So let's take a look at what's coming out in December. So for December, we have all right. First off, Wood Elves. So Wood Elves in November, we are focusing on the Glade release. So in December, we are focusing on the Treemen. So the Treemen in the OPR Wood Elves are they're basically a mix between trees, and then they take a lot of inspiration from deers with deer heads and deer hooves to kind of like really show that symbiosis between the animals and the trees in the forest. So here you can see the tree man elder. I think this is basically your hero. Now there's one important thing here. He is holding a weapon, and you can see a couple weapons on the right. This is incorrect. This is an old concept. The actual tree man in the OPR, stuff, their arms turn into weapons. So their actual arms are the weapons. Arms, their tree branches are the weapons. So these weapons will end up looking very, very different for this guy. Then you have the Treeman Ancient, I think he's called, which is basically like your wizard. He's gonna have a cool cape. He's gonna have a cool little like staff and stuff like that. I think this is actually the only guy that holds something, in that he holds a special like deer staff. Then you're gonna have your mainline unit, which is your Treeman. There's actually going to be two versions of them. There's going to be I know that right now in the rules, I think actually, I'm not sure. Let me double check the rules. No, we already updated the rules. That's good. Basically, the treemen get these claws, which is like your melee version of them, and they scratch around with their claws. But they also can have instead these like sort of magical weaving hands that are like they basically have like these roots and like these crystals that channel magic. And then they use those to like cast magic at the enemy. So basically, you're gonna have like short ranged shooter treemen as well. Then we have the Treeman Brutes. The Treeman Brutes are your T3 units, so they're about 50 millimeters tall. They're big trees with big weapons. They have claws. I think they have like these sort of hammers. Let me double check. just so I can give you the right. Yeah, they have like these branch claws, or they have these branch maces, and basically the way it works is, again, they don't hold weapons, so instead they have like these big rocks, and they have these vine arms that essentially like go around the rocks and grab them, and so like their arm becomes the hammer, essentially becomes the mace. Yeah, and I think these are going to be really cool. And then finally we have the Tree Man Giant, and this is like 100 millimeter tall, gigantic model. It comes with a couple of different options. Let me double check again what the options are. It comes with these like whip roots. It comes with a mace, branch mace thing. I think it comes with different head options as well. Yeah, comes with a couple different options, and yeah, with this, basically the entirety of um, the December release is focused around Treeman, which actually means that if you wanted to, you could essentially build a Treeman only army, because you have everything you need. You have heroes, you have casters, you have units, you have T3s, and you have a giant. Okay, I think that's it for the fantasy wood elf concepts. Then we have, yeah, the quest concepts. Again, I thought I'd bring in some quests now. So this is the quest release for December, and this is your plague demons druid. I think it's a druid. Hold on. Now I'm not 100% sure again. Is this a druid? I think it's a druid, right? Plague Demon Druid. Yes, it's a druid. Yeah, so you have a druid with his cool little staff, and he comes with a funny little frog. We thought, you know, frog. Uh, you know, it's just it's just too good to not make it. So we're gonna make a cool play guy with a frog. Yeah, he has a cool staff. He has a cool little like lantern thing, and yeah, that's the that's your fantasy quest hero for December. You know, I have to say I really like the, how can I put this? When we make armies for Age of Fantasy and Grimdark Future, there are so many restrictions to the fact that like they have to feel like an army, and you know, even if you wanted each model to be like an amazing heroic pose with whatever crazy stuff and details, it just you can't you can't put all that detail on a model that's part of a unit of 20 models, of which you have 3 units, and then it's like it's a mess to paint and whatever, it looks weird on table. And so I feel like sometimes we are so focused on that type of model making that it gets I don't know, I don't want to say boring, but it definitely gets exhausting. And so the quest characters are really a cool way to showcase something that can be a little bit more out there, can have more personality, can be more unique. Um, yeah. Okay, then let's move on to Grimdark. So for HDF, in December, you are going to get the Commander. The Commander is like um, your commanding leader of the army. He's the most like high-ranking guy, so he has like a cool cape and he has a cool hat and all that stuff. Then you're gonna get the veterans. The veterans are, well, better than infantrymen, less armor than stormtroopers. So the idea with the veterans really was that we wanted this like rugged feel, like these guys that have been through 1,000 battles, and so they're kind of doing their own thing. They don't care too much about uniform. They have lots of weird, funky gear. All of their rifles are like fully kitted out with different stuff. Their backpacks are full of weird shit. Um, so yeah, the idea is like that these guys are fully kitted out as sort of special forces to go out there and do their thing as veterans. Uh, and then you're also going to get the ogres. So the ogre units here, you cannot really get it, but the ogres are also robots. In fact, I think this is a really old concept where they were not meant to be robots yet. So you can imagine that the final head will be very different. Actually, a lot of this design will be different, but the ogres are basically like your tough three, big ass robotic model. So actually, with this, you could, and then with some of the walkers that are coming later, you could make an all robot HDF army, except that there are no robot heroes because in HDF the robots actually do not have any sort of sentience or whatnot. So yeah, actually, that would be cool. Anyway, they come with different weapon options. They come with, I think they come with these sort of miniguns. They come with grenade launchers, shields, couple melee weapons, different stuff. Then we also have the attack vehicle. The attack vehicle is originally the original inspiration basically just had the attack vehicle be a more fighty APC, but we thought, let's make something that actually looks a bit different. So we changed the silhouette of the vehicle here, and the attack vehicle is, well, in some ways, it's a more fighty APC. It doesn't really have as much transport capacity, if any. Actually, now I'm wondering, does it even have any transport capacity at all? It might not. Yeah, no, it has no transport capacity at all. Yeah, makes sense. And so yeah, the attack vehicle basically it's a relatively mobile weapons platform for you to bring heavier weapons to the front without having to have um, a really heavy battle tank or something like that. And then you're also going to get the support vehicle. The support vehicle is based off the attack vehicle chassis and essentially is a mobile artillery platform with lots of different things. It comes with artillery cannon, ballistic missile, twin anti-air cannon, these rockets, and then mortars as well. We're still not there at doing the models, but I've seen the concepts and they look cool. This is going to be a very cool vehicle. All right, that's it for HDF concepts. Then let's take a look at StarQuest concepts. So this is your StarQuest hero for December. So this is going to be the Jackal Infiltrator. Infiltrators are essentially your StarQuest equivalent of a rogue. So they're like your stealthy, assassiny, thieving kind of guys. And we thought putting a Jackal in a skin tight suit and giving him a dagger felt really on theme. So yeah, you're going to get a Jackal Infiltrator. All right, and then finally we get the so the legendary for December. I know this image isn't too great, but I think you can get a sense of it. So basically, this is going to be the I think it's called the. So we have the combat excavator, and I think this is the mining titan or mining walker or something like that. I don't remember exactly, and it doesn't have a tag here. But basically, it's a huge dwarf walker that is used for mining. It's gonna have this really cool diorama base with like all these crystals, and it has like 4 arms and like 2 different like drill arms with which you can also fight. And then it has like 2 big like mining arms with which you can like it grabs like these crystals, and it has like a backpack that it fills with its crystals. So essentially, it punches its way through the battlefield whilst collecting crystals, because dwarves really need to optimize how to make more money and how to mine more stuff. So that's dwarfy. Just to bring you in a little bit into like process of how things work. So this concept right now doesn't look very finished, but basically sometimes we realize, especially with things that are like hard surface, that you don't even need to fully finish a concept before you have everything you need to start sculpting. And this was basically why this was basically the case here. So on the bottom left, you can actually see the pose. It's pretty small, but it's there. You can see the diorama. You can see the general details in the center. So honestly, yeah, we felt like there's no need to really finish this. A lot of the problems that are happening here, or like the engineering problems, are going to be solved in 3D anyway. So yeah, we just did it in 3D. Okay, cool. So actually, I did manage to speed run through the slides, and now we have reached the final Q&A slide. Nice. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna open the Q&A thing, and I'm gonna go there and answer all those questions, and then I am going to come back and answer a couple more questions from the chat if we are still on time, and then the stream will be over. All right, so let me go and check those questions because I have put the link before and let people ask more questions there than I usually would. I have not vetted these questions, so you're gonna have to see with me how they go. All right. Question number one. What do you think about the new guilds and clans update? Are you happy with community feedback? Do you want to change something? New additions was great, but I missed the flexibility. Well, uh, I like it. I mean, I would not have implemented it if I didn't like it. The response, I feel like it's one of those things where um, the previous version gave you so many options that for a lot of players, it actually was a bit of a turnoff. It was like, what am I doing here? But for the few players that really liked it, well, they really liked it because it basically was like a build your own thing situation. I think that right now they are in a relatively cool place for a start, but I think that in the long run, they need to be further tweaked and updated, and we need to do cool stuff with them. Honestly, like with some other things, I feel that um, these clans and gangs will really shine. Sorry, gangs and guilds are really going to shine once we start making minis for them, because I think that we're going to come up with a lot of cool ideas that we're going to be able to put back in the rules. We're going to be able to come up with how different um, gangs or clans would do the same thing. Sorry. So basically, like one of the things about the gangs and clans is that they are archetypes. So we can make a, we could make a. There is one gang in Grimdark which is the mega corporations, the megacorps, and so you could make a megacorp that is like a biotech pharmaceutical company, and it's gonna look one way, and it's gonna have its weapon look one way, and its armor and its details and whatever. And then you could take another one which is like a highly paramilitary tech company megacorp, and it's gonna look completely different and feel completely different in terms of miniatures, but share the same rules. And then the interesting thing will be like, how do we make that work in terms of visual aspect, and then how are those decisions going to feed back into the rules and allow us to add interesting things. I think that with a lot of things, wherever we can, we want to, and I think we should always try and do our own thing. And I feel with the way that gangs and guilds work, it's one of those that gives us a lot of freedom to kind of do our own thing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing the minis one day. Any plans to revisit Deathball or branch out into any sports like tabletop games? I would love to revisit Deathball. Right now, we have so many things on our plate, so that's not happening anytime soon. Um, is there a reason why discussions about rules wording are currently non-existent in Patreon channels? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you mean. Um, in Patreon channels. Um, sorry, I don't fully understand the questions. Um, is the volunteers program coming anytime soon? Any news on that? We are working on it. I think we are getting somewhere, but I feel like I've been saying that since forever. So it when it's ready. I'm sorry, but you know I've had too many times over the last couple of years where I thought, oh, okay, now is the time where we can push it and do this and do that and the other, and then for whatever reason things fell through. And then I hyped people up, and then nothing happened, and now I feel like I don't want to hype anybody up. So um, when it's ready, it will come. Are there any other creators that OPR is working with to create quest narrative campaigns? Not right now. Is OPR doing a collaboration with Ivan Sorensen to flesh out the quest game? No, we are not making. We're not doing any collaborations. Um, I need to get the cash to pay this month's Patreon. Sorry. If you have any questions related to Patreon subscription, all that stuff, please send a message through Patreon. How about a mini campaign focused on the gangs? That would be great. And I think one day when we do the gangs minis, it will probably come combined with some sort of campaign. Will you guys consider selling your physical items to local game stores? Yes, we would love to do it. Maybe via distributor. Yes, we would love to do it. This is something that's in the works. Let me tell you that doing stuff in the physical space is both simpler and much more complicated than it seems. Um, I have a question about point cost. Don't you feel that armies like Battle Brothers, Prime Brothers, and Custodians are excessively expensive? No, I don't. I don't think that they're excessively expensive. I think that they follow the calculator, and it could be that the calculator, in some ways, is not fully balanced on that, or like it's not, it's not giving us the results that maybe players expect. I'm not sure, but technically speaking, they are exactly as balanced as every other army in the game. Can you release a pack document outlining what people are and aren't allowed to do and include IP related in order to be able to release, sell their own campaign books? Yes. So if you contact info at onepagerules.com and you have something that you want to do that's related to that, we will basically give you all the info that you need. We have some documents that we had originally made with some lawyers when we started doing the compatibility program. That thing has grown way more than we thought, and people want to do a million things, which is really cool. But it also means that we now have to go and get all of those documents revised and refreshed to include more things. So yes, we have those documents. We're working on updating those documents. Info at onepagerules.com. There are a bunch of different gods in Age of Fantasy. Are they all related in any way? What criteria makes a god a god? Um, Interesting question. I, in my mind, I did always kind of imagine it as a sort of pantheon of the gods, like the Greek gods, maybe. As in, they kind of all know each other and they kind of might be related and whatever. That being said, um, not at that level. I don't think all gods know about all other gods and stuff like that. Um, I think I think the criteria of what makes a god in our worlds is. Hmm, I mean, I guess it's one of those questions that you can't really answer. So it's kind of like that whole thing of, if you go back 500 years and you show someone the technology that we have today, to them, it might as well be magic. And so, there are all these gods out there that maybe some of them really are gods and they're godly and eternal and whatnot, but maybe some of them are just these super advanced creatures that are essentially a god to us, but maybe they're not. So it's a bit of a mix. It's a bit of a mix in my mind. Have you considered additional tiers to encourage additional fans past $10 to find any side projects or to help with hiring additional folks for odds and ends? Um, yes and no. So we are getting additional funds, but not via just adding new tiers. So as you may have noticed, we're now running a lot of campaigns. We did Tishal, we did Assault on Mahadra, we did Edge of the Radiance. Right now, we are gonna do more campaigns in the future. So we didn't really want to just add a tier for the sake of adding a tier, although maybe that's a mistake on our side. Gonna be honest, I'm not sure. But instead, we wanted to provide people something of value that also helps flesh out our worlds, and so we are doing that through the various campaigns and world books, and eventually faction books and all that stuff. So that's essentially all of those projects fund additional projects. Does that make sense? Now that being said, could we make a tier that is just there for fans that want to spend more money? I guess. I always feel a bit weird about that because it's like I totally get that problem that some people have where it's like, okay, I love OPR. I have a bunch of additional cash. I'm a patron. I already have everything. How can I give you more money? and I don't know how to solve that because it's almost like there is something about our business model that contradicts that. So it's like our whole thing has been about accessibility, um, and everything is extremely accessible. But then it also means that, well, if you make everything very accessible, then it doesn't end up being that expensive. But then we know that a lot of players are very happy and willing to spend more money on OPR. But then how? The question we are somehow trying to solve is, how do we give them something worthwhile that can be worth additional money, that doesn't turn out to just end up excluding other people? And that's a bit of a tricky thing. And I'm gonna be honest, sometimes I wonder. We always say at OPR we do the most, and sometimes we do too much. And sometimes I wonder if we're just overthinking this. And it's like, yeah, maybe we should just have a I don't know, $30 tier, which is like nothing additional. It's just a thank you. And who knows? Maybe we would have 1,000 people subscribe to that, and that's a lot of money that we are just letting slip by. And I don't know. I don't know. All right, in the new Grimdark Future quest, what factions will be the antagonists? For Into the Frontier, that's the new campaign that's coming out. It's gonna be HDF as the villains. I've started using Infinity miniatures for my characters. Any chance to see slotted scenic bases? We have no plans for slotted scenic bases. Any hints on what the next frontiers will be? Army system. Any hints on the next armies after these ones? Okay, I'm gonna drop some hints. So the next frontiers will be something similar to something we've done before, but actually something we've never done before. So I hope that helps. I think I can freely say that it's a fantasy thing. If you notice, we're kind of basically we're trying to make sure that people that are fans of fantasy and fans of Grimdark can have a bit of both. So we did Tisha, which was fantasy. Then we did Mahadra, which was sci-fi. Then we did Fantasy World Book. Now we're doing Edge of the Radiance, which is sci-fi. So we're kind of trying to go from one to the other. So I don't think this is like a spoiler. Any hints on the next armies after these ones? Oof, I feel like it's very early, like the armies just started releasing for me to give you hints. But okay, I'm gonna give you some hint. So one of the armies will be something familiar, and another one of the armies will be something. Um, Something that I think people will expect to be one way, but we will not make it that way. I hope these hints are good. When releasing a new Grimdark Future army, would it be possible to release Warfleets model alongside of it? We would love to do Warfleets, but we have so many things on our plate that are more important than Warfleets, unfortunately. So that is minis for Warfleets are still on hold. I'm really sorry. I yeah, I don't have anything else. Axolotl race when? One day when it's ready. All right, so that was all the comments from there. Let me scroll up to see if there were any questions here that I should answer. Hold on. Okay, I think this is where the questions start. Okay, will there be a StarQuest hero for Eternal Dynasty soon? If so, which class will it be? You know, I think there actually is an Eternal Dynasty hero coming. I'm not exactly sure when, but I think yes, and I think it's gonna be a Berserker, which is basically a um, barbarian equivalent. Would you consider adding distinct Dwarf Guild guilds with different specialisms? Would be cool, but not our focus right now. Since you make the Edge of the Radiance campaign for Grimdark Future, it would be interesting if you made a remaster of the old Jacob's Path. That is definitely in the plans. Jacob's Path, both Jacob's Path and um, well, I forget the name now. The Darkness Within. Both of those campaigns will make a return. They will be remastered. They will be a bit altered. They will come with models. They will come with heroes. They will be cool. Any plans for competitive minded tournament mission packs? I like the idea of having a tournament season sort of thing. I'm not 100% sure. Let me take a note about that, but I'm not 100% sure that we are fully ready for something like that. Um, but it could be interesting to do like a sort of season pack. Uh, 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 can you tell us what the next run of Future faction is? No. Are there changes planned for the Titans factions? No. Uh, for Robot Legions, why did you decide to create a self repair rule and not keep the uh, regeneration or region variation to avoid possibly 3 rolls? So basically, what we realized is that regeneration heavy armies were kind of in a weird spot where players hated playing against all region armies because they just felt way too powerful if you didn't have anti-region stuff. But then you had the opposite problem at the same time, which was because you have these armies have region, when other players came with an all rending army or all poison army like dark elves or high elves actually, they basically would negate your entire army. So it was either way too powerful or just completely overcosted because you weren't able to use it. And so the idea with having self repair was that we'll have a role which cannot be ignored by anti regen abilities, but that is half as strong as the regular region role, and find that in between. Considering you made the Secrets of the Shell campaign for Age of Fantasy, can Age of Fantasy Skirmish have something like that in the future? Yes. In fact, we are working already on a narrative campaign. We're actually starting to, with some of our stuff, we're starting to create a backlog of stuff, which is very good. So actually, yes, we have already planned an Age of Fantasy Skirmish narrative campaign, and we are also planning an Age of Fantasy Skirmish mission pack like Assault on Mahadra. Can we have a dedicated merch tier? We do not want to do a merch tier. A tip jar, I don't think it makes sense. Also, as a company, we have to be careful about how we receive money because things have to be like legally tracked and whatever. So you can't just give me money. That's the thing, because it's a company. So it's more complicated than that. And the accountants told me it's more complicated than that. A tier for updating old models. It sounds like way too much work and really not worth the effort, to be honest. I'm sorry. Uh, 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 will the sweaters have a new design? I see now we have some really cool art. We're actually, merch is one of those things that people ask us about all the time, and yet every time we actually opened a merch store, it kind of like died down pretty quickly. So we're actually planning or thinking about changing the way we release merch, and maybe what we want to do is start doing some sort of merch drops where it's like, hey, um, we know that there is an audience for example, OPR t-shirts. So now we have this cool idea for this awesome design, and we'll make X amount of copies for it. It drops now, come get it, pay for it, get the stuff, and then it's out of sight, out of mind. Because having just these permanent merch stores honestly is not really working for us, and I feel like we need to find a strategy that actually makes sense. I'm not sure that this is a strategy that makes sense, though, of course. Uh, uh, is there any OPR terrain available? Yes, there is lots of terrain available for OPR. and we also have lots of objective markers. Can we buy the official OPR dice anywhere soon? That's also something we're working on, but I have nothing that I can confirm right now. Okay, and then the last question: can you make a unit equivalent of the norm emissary norm? I'm not sure what this is. Norm. Let me Google this. Hmm. Okay, the unit you're asking for seems to be just a like looking at it. It just seems like a hive lord with psychic. So I don't really see the need to make a new unit for it. Okay. When would the HDF terrain drop? We are not making HDF specific terrain right now. That being said, right now we are releasing urban terrain, which could work as HDF terrain. Are we getting a physical version of the lore book soon? Hopefully, yes. We were selling some at Spiel, and we're looking into selling some of them online. All right. Okay. Guys, let's finish it here. I tried to speedrun and still somehow we hit the 90-minute mark. So thank you everybody for coming. The next stream will be in a month from now, so around probably on the 28th of November. We're gonna put a post on our website soon where you will have the link to ask the questions. So make sure to ask your questions there before the stream starts. That really helps out. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for coming, everyone. Yeah, this was a nice stream. Bye bye.